Hello and welcome to a very special edition, limited edition, may I say, podcast from us at Harneys. I'm Phil Graham, the global head of the investment funds and regulatory team at Harneys, and also a partner in our really exciting sort of global digital asset space. We've seen some very exciting hot topics, but I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like NFTs. And the buzz that's around it is so exciting. So what makes this podcast very special is to be joined by two incredibly talented and inspirational leaders in this space. Adriana and Maria, thank you so much for joining me.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm really happy to be a guest of this podcast. It means a lot to me as a female artist. I'm an art director and fashion illustrator and musician, and I've been involved in the NFTs for about a year since I've discovered it, which is a really perfect platform for myself and whatever I'm doing and creating, because I found always myself a bit restricted in a traditional Web2 world of being limited to being an illustrator or musician or art director. And it kind of was hard to explain and express myself in terms of what I do as an artist. And now with the NFTs, it's really allowing me to shine and not being restricted to certain way of expressing my creativity. So I focus a lot right now on my exhibition. Actually, it's the first exhibition physical on fashion art that's being held right now in Warsaw. And it has a display of my first sold out one-on-one fashion illustration collection, which is really exciting to me as well. And two new collections that are going to be on display. So this is just the beginning of really what I have to do with NFTs on my plans, as I start as a one-on-one digital fashion artist, but I have a lot of other ideas in my mind going forward.
Fantastic. And you, Maria?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me as well tonight. I'm really excited to be here. And thank you so much, Adriana, as well, for thinking of me. I am a producer and a digital entrepreneur. My background is in luxury fashion. So I was leading teams and producing campaigns for luxury brands. And today I'm the co-founder and CEO of Shiny, which is a metaverse gallery, and Everyday Goddesses, which is our generative collection we're currently working on. The collection is aimed at growing female influence in the space, supporting artists, spreading blockchain knowledge, and supporting cultural diversity. Coincidentally, it's launching on 8th of March, which is International Women's Day. So super topical.
Oh, awesome! I mean, that's fantastic. I've been looking at sort of both of your projects, and they're so exciting in what they do. But before we sort of continue, I must address what NFTs are, because we will have a wide variety of listeners who have different levels of understanding. You see, when people talk about, you have someone that's willing to spend 69 million at a Christie's auction, all the way through to people who say, why on earth am I paying money for a JPEG? I can find it on Google. How do you define what this is?
Yeah, so I think a lot of us, especially people who are not necessarily deeply involved with the industry, they hear those terms here and there, and they might already guess what they mean, but they don't truly understand, the technology and the background, like how can it truly be used in today's world. I think, and the simplest way to explain is an NFT is a non-fungible, which means non-interchangeable unit of data stored on blockchain. Simply put, it's a way of proving ownership and proving authenticity of an asset. So before NFTs, there's no way to really assign digital ownership, and NFTs really solve that problem in our world, which is increasingly more digitized day by day.
Adriana, anything you want to sort of add into that?
Yeah, it's actually great. I mean, I might actually steal that explanation from Maria and put it on forward to my audience, because it's really, really good and it's self-explanatory. As yesterday, I had a press day of my exhibition where I invited, I had some leading press like Elle and some national newspapers coming in, and it's just, really opening my eyes. And that's partly one of the missions I have with that exhibition, to onboard new audience, because I think Maria would agree with me that right now we're also in this digital revolution. And as much as we are aware of the NFTs and where it's heading, obviously we're still early and we don't know where it's going to exactly head, but still we're aware of it. And it just strikes me how much still there's so much to do and onboard so much new audience. And And we're talking about people who are quite, already evolved and obviously aware of the culture and tech, but still they're struggling with understanding what the NFTs are. So I spent literally a whole day yesterday explaining what NFTs are and trying to make them understand why is it worth buying that NFT, what makes it special. And I think when I explain it according to my art, my practice usually is that I tell them that this is digital art, a piece of art. Obviously, NFT doesn't have to be art. I think that's also what has to be understood, that it doesn't have to be artwork, but because obviously NFTs are exploding right now of the art market, I think that's what people assume it is. So this is where I refer to with my own art, that I create art in digital programs, right? Like, Procreate on iPad or Photoshop. And this is the best way for me explaining that this is the very first time that my collector is able to buy this JPEG, so-called JPEG. Maybe it is just a JPEG, but it really is not, because this is my, expertise and work I've been putting into like almost 20 years into. So that's why I'm trying to explain that. Why would you think that the NFTs is less valuable of the painting that's hanging on your wall? Because this is as much as effort I put into this as the painter who worked as well on their craft. And I'm also a visual artist who worked on my craft for many, many years. So this is just amazing digital revolution right now that's happening. And I think that's the best way for me to explain to others that, yes, this is worth investing in the NFTs, because it is like, if you look at the art, it's exactly sort of the same. It's just we're moving into totally different dimensions right now.
Yeah, no, exactly. Agreed with Adriana. And I think people always have this issue because, especially previous generations, they're used to touching things. They're used to seeing art, the physical piece. They're used to seeing the texture. But what they don't understand is that essentially there was a way for you to sell your digital artwork, but with NFTs, it gives you the technology of really giving the rights, the ownership to your buyer. And that's how it becomes valuable, because it's not just people who say right click save. You can also take a picture, people say, in front of someone else's car. It's kind of the same, but you don't truly own this asset. So with NFTs, you can truly own this assets. And as Adriana says, it doesn't have to be limited to art by any means. It can be any kind of medium, any kind of unit of data. It can be music, it can be sports moments, it can be memes, it can be just legal documents, it can be anything at all, any digital medium really.
I agree, and it's what makes me so exciting about it is we are at such an embryonic stage, and the adoption is already great, but it can go so widely, and I think it's it's going to be something that is truly groundbreaking for all of us. We still see, and there are plenty of articles now being written about agenda bias still, in this industry itself, and certainly on the investing side, there's lots of articles about how it is more of a male sort of orientated industry. But then we have two people like you, two incredibly inspiring women. I'd love to hear from both of you just about the people that have supported you and how you'd like to support people. And I guess a message for anyone out there that's listening that wants to follow in your footsteps or follow in a slightly different way, but generally get lessons. What sort of lesson would you give them if they were listening to this today? Adriana, probably to you first, because I know how important this is to you and everything you are.
Yes, so I'm really thankful for, it sounds cliche maybe, but I'm really grateful for the hashtag NFT community. Like, I wouldn't be here today if that wasn't for it, because I just jumped in clueless about crypto or NFTs. And it's been, as I said, a process of learning along, and there's still so much to learn and evolve. So I would never call myself an expert. I think nobody's an expert in the NFTs. That's one thing, that rule of thumb. You cannot say that. If someone says that, please run. Second of all, well, I really love the female community in the NFTs. That's why, I'm happy to meet Maria as well. And she's here and she's really supportive of like female community. And it's something incredible, because I think we both probably would agree. We talked about this in one of her spaces as well, that in the past, like fashion, especially, for example, one of the industries that's super extremely competitive was fashion industry. We both had that experience, and it's been really about the gain and, a lot of competition, and maybe sometimes not the friendliest environment either, which I feel is really different in the NFTs. And it's also like revolutionary for me as a person personally. So I'm really looking forward to connecting more with like-minded people, and also like the collectors I meet and who have collected my work. It's just incredible, because I think what's also beautiful is that what you said, Philip, is the international aspect of NFTs, that right now there's also no boundaries. Like in the past, I probably, had to be either in London or Paris, or like Maria's in Dubai, all these very centered cultural places. That doesn't mean I don't want to be in them, but it allows me more to be like connected globally. So I'm not just limited right now to like London space anymore. Like I can talk to you, from Cayman Islands right now, which is beautiful. And I think that's what's also fascinates me about this. That's why I'm so involved in this, because I really want to connect with like-minded people right now, wherever they are in the world. And it allows me to really thrive on a global level, like first time in my life. So having collectors globally and maybe business partners who are in different parts of the world is the key right now. So I think it's just the essence of the NFTs and the understanding. And also advice I would give is not to be afraid to give advice, because I think that's what led me here today, is that people who gave me advice, but also doing your own research. I think that's also very important in the NFT space. Like I wouldn't expect to everyone just explain to you everything. You have to educate yourself. You have to be open-minded and really dedicate a lot of time as well. It's like it doesn't happen overnight. Recently, I received a lot of messages on like social media about like, hey, how do I get into the NFTs? And I try to give as much as I can, but I think it's also very important to really dedicate your time and focus on it. It's not gonna happen overnight, because it took me at least a year right now where I am. And again, I still have so much more to learn, but I'm willing to do my own research and connect with the right people.
And to you, Maria, anyone that wants to follow in your footsteps, how would you guide them?
Yeah, I first of all just wanted to agree with Adriana that in the end of the day, I mean, an NFT community is amazing and it's exciting to be a part of it, and it's exciting to, enjoy all of the perks of the communities. But we still need to remember, and newcomers into the space, they need to remember that those assets are quite risky. They're extremely risky assets. So there's just as much advice you can educate your community and your audience, but it's very important for on an individual level to constantly, upgrade your knowledge. There are new functions and new just news in the industry rolling out daily, so you have to be on top of it and you have to be educating yourself daily, really. And I think back to the topic of biases, and it's interesting, right? Because on one hand, this community is very inclusive in a sense that there are people from all around the globe. There's no more geographical boundary. You don't even know who you're talking to a lot of the time. A lot of people still are not doxxed or not, publicly have revealed their personalities. So on one hand, it's inclusive in that way, but on the other hand, there are a lot of biases. And actually, in my case, it was interesting because working in fashion, I did not, in a very senior role in fashion, I did not really encounter this before, any sort of sexism, I guess. I did not encounter this until I jumped fully into the tech space. And if you think about this, NFTs is tech, finance, art. Industries are historically so dominated by men. So here you have it, 10 times worse. And I think a lot of spaces are incredibly supported. They're amazing female communities. There are amazing male communities that want to, onboard and help and support and work together. But there are also people who are very biased. So I guess an advice would be to just not take things too hard and take time to learn, because none of those people, as much as they want to seem to you maybe a lot more knowledgeable than you are, they're not. This is a new industry. Everyone is learning daily, so it's important to just take your time and not take anything too hard, because there are things that even like a tiny little comment can really discourage newcomers. So, and you cannot really shield yourself from this. There's no way to to hide and only go to those communities that are really supportive. Of course you will face something like that, but do not let it discourage you. And yeah, definitely educate, do your own research. That's something that both at Shiny and Everyday Goddesses is our core value, to spread blockchain knowledge, to educate. When we started this way before Everyday Goddesses was everything from the most simple topics to how to create your MetaMask wallet. We've done really extensive sessions on cybersecurity where we're trying to cover every single possible scam, but it's not possible. So in the end of the day, they have to do their own research. But education is so core and so central, I think.
Absolutely. Thank you ever so much. I really appreciate you giving up your time to speak to us today, and very much looking forward to seeing both of you continue the amazing success you've had so far.
Thank you. It was an exciting conversation.
Yeah, thank you as well. It was really, really great chat.